guys, here we are for today's lab, the effectiveness of sunscreen. Question is just that. How effective is the SPF rating on sunscreens? We're gonna go outside in a minute and check it out, see what happens. You need to go ahead and get your materials listed. You need to write your hypothesis. And I want you to go ahead and write up your own procedures. Before I actually go outside and do it, how would you conduct this lab? And then we'll go out and see what actually happens. First, let's introduce you to the cast of today's show. Our star, the sunscreen. Right now, I needed to make sure I got the exact same kind of sunscreen, and all that we were is changing the SPF rating. So we're using Copper Tone Sport, and we have 30, 50, and 70. Well, how are we gonna test it out? I really don't wanna go lay out in the sun for an hour with strips of sunscreen across my body, but we're gonna try something a little different where we can gather some actual data. I have some UVB beads here. Just little beads that you might put on a bracelet, necklace, something of this nature. But these guys are actually special in that when they're exposed to ultraviolet radiation from the sun, they change colors. They will begin to light up. So it gives us something we can measure the amount of UV radiation making to the beads. So here's the idea. We'll put an amount of sunscreen on a bit of plexiglass. We've got them labeled out so we know which one's which. And I will apply some to it. We'll take these outside, place the beads up under them, expose them to the sunlight, and there you go. We should have a functional experiment. Now, in any experiment, you really would like to run multiple trials, and in this case, we probably can, so we'll see what we can get. Well, that's pretty much it. Right now, I want you to pause and write your hypothesis. If, then, why? If I put this on there, this will happen because. You write it up. I'm gonna gather everything together here, carry it on outside, conduct the experiment, and then we'll come back in here to the lab, find out what happened. All right, guys. Here's the setup. Now I've put the slides on the top. This is how we got the sunscreen. I used a fingertip and smeared it around. Now I used a different finger for each one, so theoretically I wasn't contaminating it. Right now I have my clipboard over the top of it, so I'm trying to protect the UV rays from getting into it. So we're gonna see if we have color change. So here we go in 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, in the control, we saw it go pretty quick, but also in 70 as well. Now, unfortunately, I've got a couple of different colored beads here, but we can kind of see the speed at which they changed colors to give us some idea. Now, you may want to go back. I will put this up in slow motion as well, so we can see the timing if it affects. But kind of with my naked eye, the zero, no sunscreen, they appeared to get much darker and even quicker. But there we go. Once again, I'll put it up in slow-mo and we will look at it from there. But the effectiveness of sunscreen. All right, well, there we go. Who knew? Little UV beads, some sunscreen, a great experiment in the making. Hope you got your data down, you're able to see everything okay, and record everything out. Now, you wrote down your own procedures for how you would have carried this out. Let me tell you what I did, because it could be a slight effect on how results would have been. I took a measured amount of each one. I got some just right on a fingertip, same amount. And then I just smeared it all over in the window, and I tried to smooth it around until it was even and spread out as thinly as possible, just like I would do on my skin, right? I'm not gonna do it like my mom was when I was a kid, right? She puts it on and you go out with, a ghost face or streaks all over your body. I smoothed it all in until you couldn't really see it, and I tried to do that same type of thing here, the same way I would have done it to myself if I'm gonna go out in the sun. Well, that's how I did it here. You got to see the results. Now, what next? Yeah, that's up to you. How would you try this experiment given more time, more resources, more materials? What else came to your mind that you may want to try? And then we get to our big three. You've got to get good at identifying the independent, the dependent, and the control. I always ask myself the same questions. Independent variable, what did I change? Theoretically, everything was exactly the same except for my experimental group. My dependent variable, I ask myself the same question again. What was my data? Literally, what was I recording? And then for the control, you have to ask yourself, what's normal? Now in this experiment, I think it was pretty obvious from the setup what things were, but you record it down, get your sheet all buttoned up, upload it into Canvas, and we'll slap a grade on it later on. Guys, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and pack all this stuff up, maybe throw some sunscreen on myself. It's a little toasty out there today. It's supposed to be like 88 degrees, but I'm gonna go home, enjoy a little bit of the outdoor life. Take care, and we'll see you next time.